family and to the campaign has been really, really helpful to all that I've done. But you know, Barry Goldwater gave me a wonderful introduction. He talked about my family. And you know, he mentioned my wife Carol's been sick and she's home and doing much better. But you know, I know she's doing a lot better because before I left home she gave me a lot of instructions. And she told me what I was supposed to say here tonight. And one thing that she wanted me to say was a thank you, just personally from her, for the support, the prayers, and the letters and comments that you have made. We have really been blessed by all of your friendship. You know, and even in that event, I saw something very wonderful about it, because our Christian friends sent us good wishes and prayers, and our Jewish friends sent good wishes and prayers, and our Muslim friends sent us good wishes and prayers. And lo and behold, we received a lot of good wishes from some agnostics and atheists, and we were delighted to get those as well. It confirms my conviction that freedom brings people together. When they asked me about what I wanted to do as president, I said, you know, I really look at it differently. I want to be president because of the things I don't want to do. But they said that sounds like a weak president. I said, well, I don't think so. I think resisting the temptation of power requires some strength, and we don't need more government power. And I hope you agree that this has been a fantastic rally today. What do you think? And guess what? Guess what? Not one single taxpayer cent was spent on this rally. Now, I understand there's another meeting in a nearby town going on. Let us be respectful. But I also understand that we do not have to respect the conditions that allowed both other conventions to get $16.8 million apiece to run their party. And here we are. This was not inexpensive, and all of you contributed to it, and some a lot more than others, a lot of volunteers, a lot of money, and we paid every cent, and there is going to be no debt. It's a new century, and there's a lot more problems. And we have terrible threats around the world. We have a foreign policy that's gone amok. We have a monetary system that's in a mess, and we know all our problems. But there's an urgency in what we do, because we are carrying the banner, and we must act, because we, as a group, now have a greater moral responsibility to act than those who live in ignorance. Once you become knowledgeable, you have an obligation to do something about it. Probably one of the most exciting things that happened during the campaign was the response that we got from a certain segment of society. In Washington, D.C., we frequently have resolutions being passed that rubber stamp the foreign policy of intervention. But they always get passed, usually nearly unanimously. Maybe there's a few, and sometimes there's only one opposing the resolution. These resolutions will be designed to support the policies in Iraq and our so-called threat against Iran. And it is said that if you don't support it, you don't support the troops. Well, you know, the most exciting thing was, I think it was in our first quarter this year, when it added up the number of dollars that came from the troops. Our campaign got more money from the troops than all the other candidates put together. often people ask me, how did we lose the republic? Have we lost it? Essentially we have, and maybe hanging by a thread. That's why I claim that we have a sense of urgency here. We don't have decades and decades. We have to do something rather quickly. But today we have to move rather quickly. But how did we lose it? And I think some of the things that happened in Washington symbolize this loss of the republic. And one thing that I made comments many years ago that I noticed on the House floor, and this has to change, that the two weakest arguments on the House floor would be a moral argument and a constitutional argument. That we need to change. That if the government gives us a tax cut, they have to be cautious because that is written off as a cost to government. How could that be? That is the assumption that the government owns us and owns the fruits of our labor, and what we get to keep is done at the permission of the government, which proves the point that even a 1% income tax is morally wrong because it sows the seeds of destruction. Another thing that has happened is that we lost track of the fact that the Constitution was written to restrain the government. Now it's turned on its head. The Constitution or the government is there, they use it to restrain us. That is upside down. And over the years, the government gets more and more powerful. It's not only the executive branch, it's the judicial branch, it's the legislative branch, it's the bureaucratic branch of government. And more power gravitates away from the individual, away from the states, into the hands of the bureaucrats and the politicians in Washington. Not only that, do we have to worry about all this power gravitating to the power to be in Washington, it's even going further. We have to worry about powers gravitating to international governments, to the New World Order. That of course, would have to be reversed as well. But another thing that happened over these many years that have allowed us to slip away from the Republic and the principles of liberty is we came as a nation to believe that a person's needs are essentially rights. If you need something or want something or demand something, that does not give you a right to it.